Okay, fellas, we are in Togo. Here is a map. Lovely place, beautiful people. Was there once in my life? I really enjoyed it. The sea, the culture, the identity. I mean, these people have remained Togolese. Very little influence from Western nations, even though Togo was colonized by France. Very interesting culture, really. They have voodoo. You heard of voodoo before? Yeah, voodoo power and stuff. Very strange for people who've never heard about it before, or people who've never experienced it. But once you get there, you sort of look at it. It's just like another religion, just like you being Catholic, praying to Mother Mary. It's not different. Okay, so we are in Togo. What's happening in Togo? In Togo, they have voted a law in parliament where the country will no longer need elections to vote the president. Yeah, it's called a parliamentary country. So lawmakers of Togo have adopted a new constitution law that was introduced by members of the ruling party. This is basically going to change the country into becoming a parliamentary country. What does that mean? This refers to a system of government where the legislative branch of parliament holds the highest authority. So in other words, in order to vote a president in the future, only lawmakers can do it. So some people in some office can sit down and say, okay, we want this person as a president. No longer you as a citizen need to go to a voting pool and select whoever you want to choose. And many people are not happy about this. Not happy about this. I know many of your countries where you live, most of the times is you need to go to the ballot. I mean, you need to go vote, select your president and throw your little piece of paper and proceed and expect that your president wins. Now, Togo's voted a law where that's no longer going to be a requirement.
The process of revising the constitution has three main objectives: to strengthen the basis of a modern democracy that respects the balance of power, to maintain government stability, and to adapt Togo's governance more effectively to social and political developments.
So every 6 years, lawmakers will come together, consult each other, and vote who they're going to be a president. Vote for you. So let's just say you're not clever enough. You're not clever enough to choose the president. They can choose the president for you. And many Togolese people are not happy at all.
So there has been a rebalancing of the powers of the head of state and the powers of the president of the cabinet, who becomes prime minister. From now on, you win the parliament, you run the country. It's that simple.
Big uproar, unhappiness. People are frustrated and angry. So who is the leader of Togo right now? Right now, Togo is led by a man named Faure Gnassingbé. And Faure Gnassingbé has been in power since 2005. Yes. And Faure Gnassingbé was preceded by his father. His father's name was Eyadema Gnassingbé. Eyadema took power in 1965 and until he passed away in 2005. So just think about it. 1965, you take power. You become the president of the republic. Okay, you give birth to children, right? And by the time of your death, your son becomes the president. Yes, exactly like a kingdom. Many people are not happy about that. So Gnassingbé has been in power I'm talking about the younger Gnassingbé, has been in power for quite some time. 2005, that's almost 20 years ago. And he has been re-elected numerous times. But this time around, they've changed the constitution. It's no longer going to be the Togolese people choosing the president, but the parliament. So many people are very worried about that because they feel like this is an open door to treachery, open door to lies, manipulation of the population, open door to giving Mr. Gnassingbé another opportunity to remain president, if not president for life. And why do people feel this way? People feel this way because many members of parliament in Africa are corrupt. Many lawmakers are not genuine, decent human beings in Africa, unfortunately. Many people in parliament actually do their job just because they can get, excess money. If you give them money, they can choose whatever they have to choose. It doesn't matter whether it's good in the eyes of the world or not, provided they make their profits. Many people have lost the belief they once had for the lawmakers in many African countries because a lot of lawmakers in African countries don't do what law is supposed to be doing. They don't do it. They don't reinforce it. And that's very, very sad. And again, I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know. I'm not a Togolese human being. It's very difficult to identify. But This is not limited to Togo, where a president is president, he passes away, and his son takes over. You know, it's just crazy. Same thing happened in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where Kabila, the father, Laurent Kabila, passed away. And after his passing, his son took over the power. And he remained in power for 18 years, where a lot of people were not very happy. And Congo was in some of the most difficult time ever. Another example is the Bongo dynasty, the Bongo families in Gabon. Here is Gabon. Omar Bongo stayed in power for a long time. The old dynasty lasted 56 years. 56 years power within one family. The Nyasimbe is 57 years now. Is this acceptable? I mean, can we call this a country, or should we just say, okay, perhaps we are a kingdom because it's more acceptable as a kingdom? But in a democratic setup, is it okay to stay in power for 56 years? Can you actually stay in power for 56 years, honestly, without tricking anything, lying in a ballot, changing things, controlling counters and anything, and lawmakers? Many people will say it's very impossible to do that. So activists all over the world, all across Togo are not happy. Many have expressed themselves. It's very difficult. People are very, very unhappy.
It is frustrating that we can no longer participate in the presidential election. The election of the president is an important process because it gives us the opportunity to vote for the candidate of our choice.
Activists and opposition leaders of the West African nation called on Wednesday for protesters. They called for protests to stop the country's president from signing off a new constitution that would scrap future presidential election and could extend his decades-long rule until 2031. So many experts believe Mr. Nyasimbe is trying to stay in power until 2031. Why? Because, again, many African people, once they become president, they taste some of the money. Yes, they have huge access to massive amount of money with very little control. So they can spend the money on things that are personal. It's justified. Nobody can pursue them or justice calling them into accountabilities. It never happens. So imagine you in a platform where you can access anything you want. You can buy everything you want. Houses, villas, yacht, airplanes, anything. Nobody's going to ask you a question. No accountability. After 4 years, you have to leave. Would you really leave? Many people wouldn't. It takes another level, next level of human beings, of character, to say, okay, enough is enough. I think it's time for me to go. Like Nelson Mandela. But again, Nelson Mandela in South Africa, people, when presidents were not that reckless, because there's a level of laws that you need to be binding by. You cannot just do anything you want. Okay, not in the rest of Africa. In the rest of Africa, you can do whatever you want if you're a president. You can throw people in jail with no court case, no tribunal, nothing. You can just choose people's faith as a president. And that's very, very sad. Unacceptable. Again, let me know how you feel about this. I want you to understand also that this is not unique to this African nation. There's Ireland that live in the same concept. New Zealand lives in the same concept. India also have the same political strategy where people don't vote for president. Parliament actually chooses the president. But Togolese people are very unhappy. They have been unhappy for the longest time, especially those who are not happy. They think this has to end and they want to stand against him. Now, again, this law can only be in power as soon as the president lays his signature on it. Now, is he going to do it? Does he have reasons to do it? Probably. Why? Because it allows him to stay in power. It's much easier to control 100 people, 100 lawmakers, than controlling 3 million people. God bless.